Hello and welcome back to Holy Discourse. Today we're going to watch an Eddie Burback, I think is how you pronounce his last name, uh, video. I've watched, I think one of his before this. It was, he was talking about, Bill Maher and Stephen Colbert and stuff like that. It was really interesting. And this one's about, I hate my phone, so I got rid of it. And I thought that was kind of interesting because we live in a world of technology, and I believe he does YouTube full time as his job. I don't think he has another one. I believe it's just YouTube, kind of the vibe I was picking up from the last video. So I was like, that's kind of different, trying to be offline and everything when that's like your entire career. So let's get into it.
Used panties during the Bop House 5v1 stream with Vex Bolts. Now, I only recognize, I think, one word from that sentence, and it's the word panties, and it made me realize something. I hate my phone. I am constantly using my phone to see things that I don't want to see. Over the last few years,
Yeah,
it
I
has
feel
become
that.
increasingly unfun to use this thing. So why do I keep using it? Apps and social media have gotten much better at drawing me in, but lately I'll break out of my screen time feeling like nothing of value happened. I feel like a lab rat incentivized by cheese, but instead of delicious cheese, I'm being fed dorky-ass clips of Elon Musk. It's embarrassing. Not embarrassed? Next time you get sucked into your phone, tell the next person you see everything you were up to for a full hour of screen time. Okay, so my friend sent me this Instagram reel of a screenshot of a tweet about Drake playing Fortnite with Ninja in 2018, and then I just sort of kept scrolling through reels for an hour, but I don't remember any of them. Like a lot of people my age, my smartphone has attached itself to nearly every aspect of my daily life, and it's really starting to make me feel like it's having a negative effect on me. But most people like me that daydream about getting rid of their phone just can't. Their job requires it. They have kids. They have to keep up with their Balatro addiction. But I don't have a real job. I don't have kids. I deleted Balatro because I played it on the toilet too much. And then it hit me. I could be
I was gonna say I relate to this a lot, where it's like, I hope YouTube someday is like my career, or at least I could do it part time or whatever. I do it for fun. It's a hobby, but the, I guess, and hope would be, maybe one day it will be a career. Maybe it won't. Who knows? We'll just see how it goes. But I do understand the endless scrolling though. It's like now that I've moved to a place where it's a lot more outdoorsy and there's a lot of opportunities to hike and do different stuff. I've noticed getting rid of my phone has been so much easier. Like, I just literally just turn it on airplane mode. I have music in the background, and I'll take my dog JD, and we will go on a hike for hours and hours and hours. And when we get back, it's like, oh shoot, it's this time, And I feel like detaching from the world and then going back into it, and you're catching up on stuff, and you're actually watching stuff that you want to watch, and not just waiting for that dopamine hit from the creators that you want to see. I feel like I have a few creators that I really like seeing, but it's not like they post every second. So having that moment of, okay, so how do I distract myself but still be fulfilled, and just creating different hobbies, and just not watching TV as your hobby, because that's kind of it's not really, it's not productive. It doesn't make you grow as a person, where it's if you were watching it and you were analyzing it, and if you were watching a TV show and analyzing it, and you're trying to, I don't know, recreate something like that in your own movie, or in your own animation or whatever. I like watching anime a lot, and there is some times where I really pay attention to how stuff is drawn, just to be oh, that's how you do that angle or whatever. I'm just watching TV for fun, but I'm still learning something out of it. I'm still being able to grow, and to then be able to put not better effort, I'm able to grow in my hobby and be able to be better in my hobby, be more skilled.
In 2025, what does it look like for someone in their late 20s living in a major city to completely get rid of their cell phone? Well, I'm going to find that out, because over the next month,
That sucks
I will be
too.
locking...
That sucks. What do you do in a big city? Seriously, go shopping? I mean, that's really all you can do outside, or try to find a park. Which most cities don't have parks. You have to drive an hour away to go to a nice park. When me and my family went to San Francisco, I love San Francisco. It's the only ever big city that I've went to that I actually love. I hear it's kind of gone downhill though, but from when I had went there, I guess there's a lot of problems going on in San Francisco right now. But I remember the only we went hiking one day, and we went on like a bus tour because we didn't have like a car because we didn't live in California, and it was San Francisco, so we were like, there's really no point in renting a car and then paying a place to park that rental car. Like, we were like, that's just so much money wasted for no reason when everything's pretty much walkable, or you could take the trolley or an Uber or taxi or whatever. But we went on this bus trip, and it was like an hour to get there, and then they were like, all right, you only have like an hour to hike around and do stuff, which honestly, with the redwoods, it's not enough time. Like, if I were to go back, I would probably rent a car for that day and really just like be hiking in there, because it is beautiful. But like, other than that, like, what do you do in a city? Like, I get, like, if you're visiting, you're looking at all the shops. San Francisco is great because you have like Chinatown, and San Francisco's like very like an artsy town, so there's like tons of odd things that you can go do and everything else. But other than that, I'm like, what do you do in a big city? Of course, I guess that's how people feel in a small town, and they're like, oh, what do you do in a small town? And it's like, but you have so much like land, and you can like ride four-wheelers and go hiking, chill with your dog, like, read a book outside, just enjoy the fresh air, go drive around. I don't know. I feel like there's so much to like just do, and there's always like roller skating rinks, or in the winter ice skating rink. Like, I feel like there's stuff to do, but like in the big city, I'm like, there's a lot of stuff, but I'm like, what is there to like actually do?
My phone in this safe, and I will not be opening it. So, without further ado, let's find out together. I actually didn't do any prep for what I'm going to replace my phone with. Okay, actually, we need to do this tomorrow, so.
Oh, no.
Now it's beeping.
Oh, rip.
Now, obviously, a phone these days is a lot more than just a phone. But everyone in this day and age needs a telephone. Many people who ditch their smartphone these days go with an old flip phone, now referred to as a dumb phone. But I got a flip phone to keep in contact with my parents when I was out riding bikes at 12 years old. So for the majority of my life, I've had a device in my pocket that makes me reachable at all.
Literally same. That's like, my parents were like, if you get like super good grades and you get like whatever, like this many, like, say like A's or B's or whatever, they're like, we'll get you a flip phone. And it was probably before I was 12, because I think I was somewhere in elementary. But basically, it was because we always used walkie-talkies as a kid, like me and my mom, to be like, hey, where are you? Hey, I'm here. But once I got like, I don't know, 4th or 5th grade, somewhere right in there, so almost 12, like, what is 4th and 5th grade? 10 or 11? Right? Yeah, because 13's you're a teen, and I'd have been, yeah, so probably like 10 or 11. And I mean, I didn't have texting, I didn't have really anything, because at that time you had to like pay for texting, and there was like a system of like, oh, you had to like pay for like each text, or you could pay for so many text messages and then you couldn't get any more or whatever. And my parents were like, we are not doing that. That is expensive. No, that is not happening. You can just call people. And so basically that's just what I had my phone for. Literally could do nothing with it other than if I needed to make an emergency call or just wanted to call someone, to talk to someone. I mean, that was it. That's what I used it for. Now I use my phone like it's a computer, basically. I mean, I do a lot of my YouTube stuff on there. I do a lot of my YouTube stuff on my tablet too, but I mean, I do a bunch of stuff on my phone. I do like the shorts. I keep up with like, when videos are going out, it's like, oh yeah, like this comes out today, so I have to remember to create a short for that, or I have to remember to do X, Y, and Z, or, or I watch YouTube on there, or I do. My phone is my computer, basically, just in my pocket.
Times. I want to experience what life was like before the cell phone. So I went even older and began looking into getting a landline. Luckily, this was pretty simple. Some major phone companies, for some reason, still offer a landline service.
Okay, I will say, from knowing people who still own a landline, those phones suck. So those phones will not apparently last you very long, because the person that I know who owns a landline like this, and like not actually just like on the wall, but one of these like digital type ones. They're like, we go through them so often. They're made like junk. But, a lot of people still have their landline phone number, so they're like, we're just going to keep it because, yeah, why not? But yeah, so from what I've heard, I don't know about AT&T's whole situation. I don't know who they go through or what they get, but from what I've heard, kind of junk.
But what landline should I choose? There were so many decades and styles to choose from. I could go wireless. I could go with an old rotary. I could keep it to the classics, like Sleeping Goofy, M&M's Hanging Out.
Okay, come on. The rotary is a classic. I had a rotary phone growing up. Wait, so what was weird was the garage and the basement was a rotary phone, but the kitchen landline was a button presser, which it was like, what? Like, why is there rotary and, like, why didn't you just get all the same? But they did so. I don't know what it is with those houses in the 90s, what they did with them. I think people were on drugs making those houses, like hardcore drugs, because some of the decisions that were made in that house, kind of dangerous. Like, we would find stuff and we'd be like, oh, okay, well, glad that didn't catch on fire or flood or do whatever. Like, holy crap. We pulled up the carpet upstairs in my parents' bedroom, and there was just cigarettes everywhere under that carpet. I mean, just everywhere. Like, they just put it out and then they just like throw it down. Like, how do you smoke that many cigarettes laying a carpet down? You literally, like, usually it's pre-cut, so you just bring the roll upstairs and you roll it out, and then you have to like kind of like stretch it and nail it down to make sure it's kind of tight everywhere. There was cigarettes like in the middle of the floor everywhere, and I was like, how do you do that laying down carpet? Unless they like painted first, or when they were putting up like drywall or something, maybe they were throwing them down then and then they just didn't care to clean it up at all, and they were just like, carpet's going over it, it's fine. Not that someone could, I guess they use like heavy duty boots, so they're not really gonna like slide on the cigarette or something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what people were doing in the 90s building houses, but this shouldn't have been allowed. And I've lived in different states and in different 90s houses. It didn't matter where you lived. So people across the US apparently all on hardcore drugs building houses, because some of the decisions, I'm like, why would you put an outlet there? And like, it can easily flood in this room because it's a bathroom. And if it floods like even a little bit, that can electrocute people. Ugh. And there was one time where like that bathroom kind of like flooded, and my mom had just like went in there without thinking and just like started trying to clean stuff up. I was like, why did you go in there? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, there is a plug right here, like almost on the ground. I was like, you could have been electrocuted and died. I'm like, luckily the water wasn't that high, but it was close. I'm like, you could have died. So, I don't know what they were doing in the 90s.
Or poo. After weighing all of my options, I finally decided on a mix of everything. A corded landline that still had an answering machine and caller ID. Oh, a landline with an answering machine is not old school enough for you? That's too much new tech? Well, my ass got a Rolodex to pair with it. Now, if you're somebody whose knees still don't hurt, a Rolodex is basically your contact app, but on this fun little spinny wheel. So I don't want to just call everyone.
Month, not a day. Okay, I was wondering why he was doing that.
I want to be popular. Whoa. So I posted my landline number on my close friend's Instagram story to inform people in my life that I wouldn't have my phone. But not everyone in my life is on my close friend's Instagram. Some don't have Instagram at all, and some are finding out just now that they're not on my close friends list. So I began texting people in my life the information as well. Other than a telephone, I use my phone as a tool for many aspects of my life. I began replacing as much as I could think of with alternatives. I filled out a physical calendar. I got notebooks and pens to replace my notepad app. Grabbed a film camera to take photos with. Every morning, I set an alarm, so I replaced it with an old-fashioned alarm clock. Oh, man, that's gonna piss me off. Why didn't I get a digital alarm clock?
I was gonna say, oh my goodness, that thing would have been thrown across the room so fast if I ever had one of those. Oh my goodness, I don't know how like people even do like the digital ones. Oh, because my parents will like, they have like a digital one, and it always just like plays the radio, and it's just like a random song every day, because it's just something on the radio, and I'm like, I don't know how. I mean, it's loud, you can hear it across the house, and I'm like, I don't know how you haven't chucked that thing across the room. Like I don't know how I haven't chucked my phone across the room from the alarm clock I chose, because it's a Shine Down song. I think it's Energy by Shinedown. I don't know how I haven't chucked that thing across the like the floor or the room. I mean, I've came close a few times. I've gotten real angry because I am not a happy person in the morning.
Getting rid of my phone, not becoming Ebenezer Scrooge. Also, just in case of any major text that I may miss, I hooked up my iMessage to an old laptop Chrissy had, but being able to check text all the time felt like cheating. So I bought this chess clock and decided I would only be able to clock in 5 total minutes checking text the entire month. Wait, this thing takes C batteries? Okay, I'm not gonna use the laptop until I can get some C batteries then. There was so much to replace, but there's one I chose not to. I use my Apple Watch daily for fitness statistics. But honestly, I don't really need it to exercise. I just have to find the willpower to hit my goals without closing these colorful rings. When I got the watch, it felt like a super useful upgrade to my life, but I quickly realized that my phone was now on my wrist at all times. Sometimes even sending ads for Yelp or Postmates to my own arm. So I don't know how much I'll miss this thing. Except for Snoopy. I will miss you, Snoopy. I'm sorry I'm putting you in a box. Lastly, I replaced the iPhone's video camera with a Sony camcorder. Looking at all the items that would replace my phone sprawled out on the floor, I decided I was prepared enough to begin. It was mid-afternoon by the time I started, so I decided to check if I had any calls or messages on my landline. I had posted and sent the number to almost everyone I know, so I was sure there was a ton of missed calls and voicemails to listen to.
Wednesday, 1:04 p.m.
Hi, Eddie. It's Mom. I'm just calling to see if your phone works. You don't have to call me back. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
End of messages.
Yep.
Within a few minutes, I came
Sounds
across the
about
first
right.
minor hurdle of not having a smartphone on me. After checking my email on my computer, I saw that there was a package down in my mailroom. Now usually, to unlock the mailroom lockers, I open an email on my phone and scan a barcode. But luckily, they also provide a numeric code to put into a keypad. So I grabbed a notepad, and I wrote the code down. We're not talking about the notepad app here. I mean, I put a pen to paper, like a soldier in World War II, sending a letter home to his girlfriend who has now taken his spot on a Major League Baseball team. Or I think that's what it was like. Honestly, the only war movie I've seen is A League of Their Own. Hello, Eddie from the future here. This is absolutely the last thing that I'm editing, and I have not seen this footage until now. So on the first day, I walked out of the apartment, Chrissy changed the code to the safe, wrote it down, left for her apartment, and I asked her to hide it in a place I'd never check, and apparently she put it in a case of Black Ops 2, but under a disc of Jingle All the Way 2. I don't even know where she got this movie. I don't even know why she has Black Ops. For over a decade, my
That is
iPhone has been an
great.
extension of
I don't know if you've ever watched that movie. It's so stupid that it's funny. Definitely recommend.
my body, an extra limb that connects me to the world of the internet. So the first few hours with that limb severed had me feeling its phantom in my pocket. I decided to start keeping a tally in a notepad every time I felt compelled to reach for or check it. And within those first few hours, I realized something. I was bored. Truly bored. It was rainy in LA, I had finished working for the day, and didn't have everything ever made and everyone I've ever known at my disposal to fill the void. It hit me that the other times where my phone has died or moments where I've intentionally put it away, my phone has not allowed me a true sense of boredom for the majority of my adult life. And the rest of the first day was really nice. I enjoyed the silence. We ended the night watching the movie Flow, which I absolutely loved, highly recommend. And while I never check my phone during a movie, not getting a vibration or needing to put it on Do Not Disturb felt great. And since I can use my computer, I decided to still log it on Letterboxd. But when I walked away from it for bed, that was it. No more internet for the night.
It's just fascinating. Just like, oh, it's bringing so many memories back too. Oh my goodness. Of like when I was like a kid and him talking about like, oh, like, I've never really been bored in my adult life. And it's like, shoot, I haven't really either. Because I got my first smartphone when I was junior in high school. Either sophomore or junior. I think it was junior year. I think so. I think it was junior year. I don't remember. But it's like, I mean, I've been addicted to my phone ever since, you know, because I mean, I had an iPod before that, and it'd be like, okay, I have my flip phone and then I have my iPod. So, and I mean, we, like, since I'm kind of generation of growing up with technology, but technology was still not as progressed, and there was like things where it's like, you know, you had to like pay for text messages, and then I mean even gigs and stuff like that, like it wasn't cheap to go like have like unlimited gigs. Like there are, it has become cheaper. I won't say it's cheap still to go unlimited, but it has become more accessible to people. And I remember like even then it was like, okay, if I really want to watch my phone, I have to make sure I'm using like someone's internet or someone's this or someone's that, where like now I don't even have to think about that. Like I can just not be bored all the time. You know, I can just keep scrolling or keep doing whatever. I'm not saying that's not boring sometimes. I do get very bored with that, but it's like I don't break out of that and just be like, I don't just go do something or try a new hobby or, you know, I don't try to progress myself as a human being. I'm just kind of stagnant where I should be. I should be progressing, basically. Oh, that's not annoying. Oh, and you put it up there too.
The next day was an adjustment, getting used to the silence, but I was already seeing benefits. Turns out it's easier to get up out of bed and go to the grocery store when you don't waste your first 30 minutes scrolling through Twitter. Or if you're experiencing one of your lowest lows, Reddit. Ugh, shivers down my spine just thinking about it. Oh, by the way, last night Chrissy and I had pasta, sausage, and Trader Joe's cheesy creamy greens and veggies. I also got the C batteries for the chess clock, so now I have a working chess clock and 8 C batteries that will sit in my drawer forever. Later that week, a few friends and I had planned to see Mickey 17. Last week, I offered to organize getting the tickets myself, forgetting that my phone would be locked in a box. Normally, as an AMC A-list member, I reserve the ticket on the app, show up, present my QR code to the greeter to be scanned, and suddenly I'm in. Now, obviously, I know that a cell phone is not the only way you can get into a movie theater. I worked at an AMC when I was 19. If you were at the AMC Streets of Woodfield in 2016, there's a solid chance your ticket stub was ripped by me. But I wasn't sure what the process was anymore. Part of my job used to be selling tickets, but due to online and mobile sales, that job seems to have been phased out after quarantine. So I went to the AMC website, saved my ticket QR code, and sent an email of it to Staples so I could print it with a code at one of their printers. I then wrote down the Staples code along with my ticket confirmation as a backup. Is this overkill? Probably, but if for some reason I couldn't prove my purchase, I'd be ruining the whole night for my friends. So I headed over to Staples, and after inputting the code from my notepad,
This is so extra.
look at him, my beautiful boy, my pride and joy. Be honest, if your job was scanning QR codes, would you trust one sitting on a blank page like this?
I mean, and this is so interesting too from like my perspective as a kid. It was like, oh, that's just the way the world was. So the way the world was kind of the world was set up for that. Now it's not. It's like a completely different world, and he's trying to go back, but he's struggling because everything is in this new world and it's not early 2000s still.
During our drinks before, I was beaming with excitement to use my QR. Look at how proud I am of it, but I had no idea what was waiting for me in the theater. Now, fortunately
Oh God,
for me,
would it
and
not scan?
unfortunately for labor everywhere, the AMC ticket sales employees have been replaced by kiosks. So I headed there to scan my QR code instead of the greeter because I got nervous.
You guys see?
Disaster 1. I froze the machine.
Broke it?
I clicked the keypad, I think I broke it, so I think I left it.
Luckily, there was an open machine next to me, so I made a quick recovery only for Disaster 2. My QR code was printed so inconveniently that it wouldn't fit in the scanner. I desperately folded the paper as my friends waited on me for their tickets.
Why
It
doesn't
just
someone just take a
wouldn't
picture
scan.
of it and Bubba, someone can just take a picture of it for you and then scan it from their phone.
My baby boy was a disappointment. But you could just use the credit card you bought the tickets with. So I didn't need to do any of this. Didn't need a phone and could have just shown up with my credit card. Okay, so there are minor
Or you could do that.
inconveniences like writing things down or bringing my credit card. But I wanted to know what it was like to traverse a city without my phone. This
That's
morning
a
I
cute
woke up
bug.
to a massive dropping of bird shit on my bathroom window, which is gross. But hey, without the phone, it's something new to look at while I'm on the toilet, I guess. It's no secret why someone in this day and age may begin to resent their phone. But one of my main motivators to give this a try may surprise you. A few months ago, Chrissy and I binged through all of Sex and the City. We watched through every season, movie, and even the new series on HBO Max. Fuck, sorry. Now, other than having a blast with the girls and being a big hater to my core, there was one aspect of the show that I just couldn't shake.
Get it while it's hot.
Not that either. Man, I gotta text my editor. But I don't have a cell phone, and my editor's me, so he doesn't have a cell phone either. Gonna be tough. The show starts with Carrie in her early 30s. But even though I'm a young 28, not even fucking close to 30, the era of life that Carrie, Samantha, Miranda, and Charlotte are in is pretty similar to mine. The one glaring difference, other than being in LA instead of New York, is their lifestyles without smartphones and social media impacting it. Of course, this isn't a staple of the show, but the times the show belonged to. The new series has to adapt to our new world just like we do. Carrie is a podcaster. She tweets. Everyone uses their smartphones. But even though I was always aware that times had changed, it didn't feel so drastic until I watched the original show. No dating apps, no creating a second version of yourself online for the world to perceive. On a night in, Carrie writes, Miranda watches TV, Charlotte reads either the Old Testament or the New Testament, depending on what season you watch, and Samantha gets laid. They don't pull out a little computer that shows them what everyone they've ever met is up to at that exact moment. Charlotte
Literally what I was talking about like 5 minutes ago.
doesn't do the dishes with her AirPods in, catching up on the Twitter drama between the richest man in the world and Hassan Piker. Samantha doesn't watch the Costco guys on Fortnite Friday.
I mean, if it's something that we really like a lot, that's 5 big booms. Something we're not that crazy about, it could go down to 1 and then anywhere in between.
What?
And they also call each other for plans. They don't use a GPS. They agree on a time to meet somewhere, and then they just like hope that it all
Can I say that's like the wildest thing? Because I was a child, so, you know, obviously other people drove for me when like GPS really wasn't like a thing and maps were a thing. That is wild to me that people were able to just navigate. Because I know like older people that are not like, what do you call it? cannot navigate for the life of them. I mean, same. So not just throwing them under the bus, throwing me under the bus as well. But how can you be directionally challenged back then with no map? Like no GPS. Just a map. If I have a map that moves, like to show me like, hey, this is where your location is, and like I can like look around, I can figure out where I need to go and like what directions I need to go. But if it's like just a map and I'm looking at things like around me and I'm like, I'm on a road, I don't know. I can't tell you how to get there. I don't know. I can't imagine just being like, Mark, Bob, and Wade were talking about this. It was specifically Bob. He was talking about, he was driving from, I think, University of Cincinnati to Athens on his motorcycle, and he's like, yeah, I just pulled it up online. I printed it off, like printed the map thing off and just kind of like studied through it, and then I was like, all right, like I know where I'm going. What? And I remember this as a kid too. I remember my mom printing out map stuff and being like, okay, like in 1 mile, like we got to turn here. And she would look at her odometer and be like, okay, like we're at, say, 33,000 miles on the car. So I know in 33,001 that I need to make a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn or whatever. Crazy.
All works out. And that's what struck me most of all. It was the intentionality in making plans and navigating a city. If you're older watching this, feel free to roll your eyes, because this was what the world was like until very recently. But because I'm such a young, fresh 28-year-old, I have never in my life made adult plans without the convenience of a smartphone. If I want to drive or Uber somewhere, I don't really need to know where to go because the GPS will handle it. If I want to take public transit, my phone will give me live details on what to do. If I'm running late, I can text and update the person. I have Google at my fingertips to answer any question that I could ever think of. So what do I actually do when I make plans? I might as well get to a dinner and have the waiter cut my spaghetti for me. There was just something about the way that the girls went through life that just felt more grown up to me. I couldn't help but wonder, has my phone kept me from becoming a fully capable adult? Ready for my carry night out, I needed to call.
That is a good question. And that's, people debate this a lot too with like kids and cell phones. Like, should kids have cell phones? Yes or no? Like, basically asking the question of like, does it stunt their growth? And now as an adult, you know, us as adults, we're asking that about kids, but you know, me and Eddie here are close in age. And I've asked myself that many times, like, not only about, like, phones and everything else, but just, I guess, like, just in general, just, like, seeing people who are, like, 10, 20 years older than I am, like, just be an actual, like, functioning adult. And I'm still feeling like I'm trying to figure out how to be an adult. Like, I still feel like a child, where I'm like, I still feel like I'm figuring things out and trying to figure how to function as like an adult and how to do things. And I'm like, I still have anxiety about like the stupidest stuff. I think some of it is because I'm introverted, so I don't really like talking to people who are going to do stuff and everything else. But I've always had like my parents with me though too, growing up. And even though they would be like, you're leading the conversation and you're doing that, like having that person, like, even though you're saying everything, just having that person like sitting next to you, it's just so much more comforting, because you're like, you also have that person for backup too. If you forget something and you had talked in the conversation earlier, they can kind of speak up and be like, hey, remember to mention this to your like doctor or whoever, whatever, or whatever you like, say you're getting like your oil changed or something like that, and you forget to tell them to rotate the tires. Having that person next to you, it's kind of nice, because it's kind of like your backup, like, hey, just as a reminder, you need to do this. Which, as an ADD person too, I'll think a lot, my mind will race, and then I have anxiety and I forget stuff, and crap happens, you know. But it's nice to have that extra person, and I feel like, you know, actual adults don't need that extra person just to stand next to them and be like, hey, dumb, you forgot to mention this. It's like, oh yeah, I did forget to mention that. So I don't know. It again, I think he makes an interesting point of just watching an older TV show with people also in their 20s. I assume they're in their 20s. Or no, did he say 30? I think he said 30 for them. Like, have it together. They just know their stuff. Like, they have it together. They're like, oh yeah, like, this is how you do this and this is how you do that, and that's it. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
One of the girls. Looking to have fun cocktails and a yap sesh, I knew just who to call. My friend Jordan. I planned on taking the bus because even though I could Uber there from my desktop, I'd need to cheat and ask Jordan to call my Uber home on the way back. But to take the bus, my two options were change, as in coins, which I do not have because I'm not an 1800s prospector ordering a whiskey at a saloon, or the public transit app on my phone. Oh, my phone! Shit! I don't know if you guys know this, but I locked my phone away. After a quick search, I saw that you can get a physical tap card in LA at most pharmacies and grocery stores. So I walked over to CVS and couldn't find a tap card anywhere. I asked the manager if they sold tap cards, and he said, "We should, but I'm not sure that we do." After confirming that they didn't, he was so helpful and told me you can get them at the train station. I thanked him and said I needed it for the bus. And he goes, "Oh, you can just get the app on your phone." My dumb ass goes, "Right, thank you. I'm doing this thing where I don't have my phone, but thank you." What the fuck was that supposed to mean to him? Anyway, I went over to Ralph's and yet again, no card. Until I asked an employee and she walked me over to
I was gonna say, you could have just said, I left my phone at home, so I don't have a phone.
their work desk, busted out a dusty fanny pack from a bottom drawer and got me a card. The whole process seemed like there hadn't been a physical tap card purchase in years. This whole ordeal gave me just enough time to get ready and call Jordan to let him know what time to meet.
Awesome. All right. Well then, hopefully nothing goes wrong. If it gets to be like, too late, just give up on me. I'll go home. Okay. That's true. You're the perfect person for me to fuck this up with. All right. I'll see you there.
Next, I headed over to my computer, went to Google Maps, clicked on the transit direction to get to the bar, and wrote down the specific bus routes I'd need to get there. My bus was leaving very soon, so I had to rush out the door. Now, depending on where you are, who you are, and what age you are, I am not recommending that you also travel alone without your phone at night. Smartphones have offered a lot of safety to people who are by themselves, so just know that I wanted to do this, and unfortunately, it's a bit safer for me than for some of you. Look, it's no surprise from my personality, my writing, and my general vibe that I am an overthinker. So on my way to the bus, anxious thoughts were flying by. What if I miss my stop? What if the bus doesn't come on time? What if I get lost and leave Jordan waiting? What if the bus explodes? And normally, I can quell these thoughts by getting confirmation on my phone. But shockingly, without the option to confirm, I was forced to face these thoughts head on. And you know what? It was super fucking easy to ride the bus without my phone. They say the goddamn street names out loud. Why was I worried? I got off the first bus, crossed the street to the next stop, and waited for the second. No checking Twitter, just raw dog, no headphones at the bus stop. Hopping on the next, I rode the bus toward Drinks. At one point, I wanted to make sure I was headed in the right direction, so I asked a stranger, and he was super nice and helpful. And before he got off the bus, he nodded and fist bumped me. Not quite as good as nervously Googling and having Gemini tell me the wrong fucking answer, but I'll take it. And as I became a tiny little speck in the rear view of the Echo Park Pico Union line, I turned to walk toward Drinks. I finally made it there, and lo and behold, agreeing to meet at a place without 5 text updates still works just fine. Jordan and I had a great time, yapping our hearts out. 2 young philosophers in a heated debate, going toe-to-toe in the marketplace of ideas. I, of course, was...
I love, like, Jordan's, like, it kind of gives me, like, 1970s black man vibes, and I love that look. I love when people can pull off that look. I just think it's so cool.
On the right side of whatever we talked about, and Jordan was in the wrong. But his British accent kept giving his words an authority that made me insecure and angry. Also, we did need to use Jordan's phone to get my bus route back because I did forget to look it up. Is someone telling me a bus route with their phone cheating? I didn't use my phone, but I sort of used someone else's? I don't know. A few hours and one too many cocktails later, Jordan walked me to my bus stop like a true gentleman. It came early.
My grandpa, who has never turned on a phone in his life, like an iPhone, it was like a flip phone. It took us forever to get him even to agree to a flip phone. I can't tell you how many times he makes me look stuff up. Every time I come to his house, he's always like, look up on that search warrant and find, let's see if the farmer's market's happening. Let's see if this X, Y, and Z is happening. And it's like, how do you survive on your own? You don't have any computer. You don't have anything. You refuse to do that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you want to know, like, everything. Like, what's going on, what's happening, And, I mean, he did, like, what Eddie's doing right now of, like, asking someone to look something up. He does it all the time. I'll be like, because JD technically was originally his dog. And now that my grandpa's gotten older, JD's a big boy and still likes to jump a lot. And my grandpa was like, well, this is not going to be safe for me to continue to have him. So now I have him. But I'll be like, oh, me and JD went hiking, or me and JD did this and stuff like that. I took a bunch of pictures, and then I have to figure out, okay, who is he going to be around in the next few days to text them? I'll text them photos of JD and be like, hey, just so you know, I know this is weird, but, little Pat wants to see pictures of his dog, and I'm trying to figure out who's going to be with him the next few days. I know you're going to eat with him after church, or I know you're going to, I know you're going to see him at this game, or this, whatever, farmer's market, or fair or whatever. I'll be like, I'm going to text you this, and you are going to show him this, and he will probably ask you, because I told him who I'm sending it to as well, so he can see pictures of his dog. And it's just like this whole thing. I had this whole thing today too, because I was like, he's like, oh yeah, like your uncle's here with me, and I was like, hey, okay, I'm gonna try to send him photos of JD since we went on a walk today, and blah blah blah. It's this whole thing. And my friend in college, when she was doing this like whole trying to do like whole no social media thing, or basically trying to be on her phone less, and she would honestly she started forgetting her phone like in her dorm and stuff like that, because she just got so used to like not using social media as much and stuff like that, so she just left her phone at her dorm a lot of times. She'd be like, hey, can you call so and so, or can you text so and so, or can you it was very this type of relationship, like still in the world but not exactly part of it.
Earlier than expected, and without my knowledge, Jordan captured my dorky ass scurrying to the door. On the ride home, it was really starting to hit me just how normal most aspects of my life felt without a phone. Sure, it was a bit inconvenient, sometimes a little bit dangerous. But is the harm that screen time and algorithms inflict on my brain really worth the convenience it brings? Well, I'll be honest, I've had one too many cocktails to find an answer to that. I also was on Metro TV. You guys ever watch Metro TV? It's a show about you taking the bus. You see me there? Look closer. There I am. Every time I've mentioned to a friend that I was getting rid of my phone, one of the first things they'd say would be, oh, are you gonna start reading? First, yeah. Second, I was reading. Okay, not books, maybe. Does it count as reading if I read a tweet from Discussing Film that told me young Sheldon is returning to do a sweepstakes competition for the live-action Minecraft movie?
Mazes, puzzles, panic attacks, you're in charge. Whooping monster butt, that's my purview.
Plus $500 daily cash prizes.
Whoa, oh my.
Watch Young Sheldon weeknights for the word of the day. Text it to 55225 or dig into youngsheldon.com. No biggie. A Minecraft movie in theaters April 4th.
I used to read quite a bit, but as my phone addiction has developed, most of the time when I could pick up a book, light a candle...
Dude, that's what I need to start doing too, because I want to start getting serious about like learning Spanish, and then I want to get like a certification and something, and I'm gonna need to space out my time better soon, because I want to start doing that in the next like couple of months and really start divvying out time and doing all that.
Relax in a chair, I instead choose to burn disturbing world news into my retinas while I sit hunched over my table, or hunched over on my toilet, or hunched over on a bench. But after days of phone detox, I wanted to see how well my attention span fared toward uninterrupted reading. About a year ago, I was at a bookstore with my friend Ian when he mentioned he had recently read the novel Flowers for Algernon. I bought it that day, planning to read it so we could discuss and have a connection over it. And then, it sat collecting dust next to my Wii U for 11 months. Didn't get all the dust, maybe one more blow. Damn, that shit is baked on there. So I lit a candle, got cozy, and began reading. And you know what? It was way easier to focus. I got sucked into the book, and before I broke any concentration, I'd read over 100 pages. Now I had plans that night, so I needed to rush out of the house, but I didn't.
Yeah, I always love, like, if I'm trying to like detox from my phone and stuff like that, a lot of times I'll put like Glenn Miller, which is a 1930s artist, 1920s, 1930s. I have like a bunch of swing music, but Glenn Miller is the only one that I can think of right now. On my record player, or my record player is Bluetooth too, so sometimes I'll put like I'll play like lo-fi or even 1920s music off of my my phone, like anything without words, and then I just kind of will turn my record player kind of low and then just be able to just read and concentrate, because if I do anything with words in it, like singing, like if there's any singing or stuff like that, I just find it so hard to concentrate reading a book. But I love listening to music while reading a book. Otherwise, I find it hard to kind of like dive into that book. It just kind of helps me focus, just having that, just something in the background going.
Have a damn bookmark.
Fold the page.
Oh, perfect. Finally a use for my QR. Later that night, I came...
I know people who are big readers that hate that. They don't like their pages being folded, but I just fold the page. I cannot keep a bookmark for the life of me. So I just fold the corner, top corner. It works. I know people are going to hate me for that and probably try to cancel me for that, but I don't care.
Back and read another 100 pages. Now, of course, people read a lot with their phones all the time. But for me, that vibration of a text or social media notification or an ad from Uber Eats or Postmates feels like somebody knocking at my window, trying to distract me and get me to stop reading.
I find it hard to read on like a screen. And it might just be because like, well, I know ADD people who do it too. Because I have ADD and dyslexia. But a lot of times, like, I'll have to, what do you call it? Like, have, like, my hand over part of the book sometimes. Or just, like, have, like, my thumb on the side of it, just so I know what, like, row I'm at. Because a lot of times I'll accidentally, like, not as much anymore now that I'm an adult, but especially as a kid, I'd accidentally, like, skip lines, and I'll be like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And then I have to, like, figure out where I actually was, and it would be a whole dilemma. There was a lot of books that I was like, I have no clue what happened, because I would read it and it would go in one ear right out the other. But I find now reading out loud, or even just like mouthing the words, because a lot of times, like if you're like in high school when you're taking like a big test, or even in college when you're taking a test, like you can't just start reading out loud to yourself. So you just kind of learn to kind of like mouth it and like kind of really use that like inner voice that you have and really have it kind of talk louder to be like, okay, this is, this is actually what I'm reading. And I could find it would be a lot easier to follow along and not skip lines and be like, okay, where was I at? Where am I at? What am I doing? Where I don't have as much problem reading like from my phone. Like I'll read the Bible on my phone, and usually I'll just kind of keep scrolling up and up and up. So like the row that I'm reading is like right at the top and I can't see anything above it. So it's a little bit easier for me to like keep track like where I'm actually at. So I'm not skipping around and it's not like, and Moses, and then we're here. And it's like, what? Then it's like, oh, I'm skipping around again, it makes it a little bit easier.
Over the next 10 days, I started to go about my everyday life pretty naturally without any major issues. I could go for walks by myself or with my brother and give 100% of my attention. I did my chores in my free time without my AirPods, sometimes in silence or with a vinyl, maybe a podcast on my PS5 on occasion, but I didn't crave it. I was working on a video for the other channel I run with my brother, and I found myself procrastinating less, enjoying work more. Everything just started to feel normal. It's not like I shut out all of the internet either. I still followed the news and checked social media on occasion, but it didn't follow me in my pocket when I stepped away. The swirling mass in the back of my brain that the internet seems to occupy had completely severed, and I didn't miss it. I was embarrassed at the thought of how often in the past I would check my phone, especially when I wasn't really waiting on anything. Times where I felt anxious in public, when I wanted to fill the silence. And the worst of all, involuntarily checking. I was becoming a normie, and I liked it. I read books more. I sat in silence. I enjoyed the eclipse and didn't text it to anyone. I spent an hour on a rainy night just watching the rain fall, enjoying the sounds of drops hitting the pavement. I mean, what the hell? What's wrong with me? The next morning, I thought, surely the rain washed away the bird.
I love listening to rain, especially like I'll listen to like those like lo-fi songs where it's got like rain in the background too. Oh, that's the best. Just like a good like really like hard rain. You're just like you're sitting there and you're like I got a porch where it's like it covers my head and stuff like that, so I can just sit there and just be like, this is nice, because then you can just hear it on the porch, and then you can like have some lo-fi going on, and then I could just kind of look off into the distance, and it's like, it was a good day today.
Shit, right? Huh, guess not. Okay, well, maybe it'll go away on its own. Or maybe I should clean it, but I'll get to it later, or maybe it'll go away. Navigating the world without the help of a cell phone made it seem smaller, less intimidating. I found myself asking strangers for help a little more and was less anxious when they spoke to me. There was only one time where I checked my text on the MacBook, and after that I decided I didn't even need it. Man, I bought those C batteries for nothing. After just a half of a month without my iPhone, I started to have the thought, uh-oh, I don't know if I want this thing back in my life anymore. And moving into the next week, I continued to feel the same way. Halfway through the month, I had mostly adapted to life without the phone, but I wondered how other people would adapt to me. I had sort of assumed when it came to others, the landline would be a fun novelty. People would give me a call or two within the first week and then just wait for me to get my phone back so we could go back to normal. But to my surprise, that hasn't been the case at all.
Hi, Eddie. It's Mom.
Hey, Eddie. It's Jarvis. What a wonderful voicemail you got there. It's time to walk. Call me back.
Eddie, we're on our way. You better get ready. We're on our way.
Yay.
Yay. Woo. Bye-bye.
Hey, Eddie. How you doing? Big dog. Hey, this is Zach. Mr. Burback. Need to reach you. I hope it's going well. I hope you haven't gotten lost because of lack of Google Maps. Hey, Eddie. This is your friend Ash.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was given this number for... If I have an incorrect number, please let me know.
Happy Thursday. Talk to you soon. We were trying to reach you to do that dinner that we talked about.
A big part of why I kept my phone clutched to my chest for years was because I felt like I needed to be on call for people I know 24/7. I had feared that this experiment would annoy people, that it would make me more work. But it turns out everyone I asked said it was a breath of fresh air. They liked calling. They liked leaving messages and not having to worry about texting back. And I like coming home to voicemails. I like picking up and hanging up the phone. When I say bye, I get to end the call with emotion and a physical feeling. Instead of the new reality I've gotten used to where you say goodbye, there's an awkward pause, and then the 1 hour and 30-minute takedown on the Beast games you were watching begins to play again. Personally, with a smartphone, I am way more likely to accidentally leave a text unanswered, to cancel or delay plans when I'm not feeling up to it. With the landline, though, I have to talk to people. When I'm feeling like I don't want to leave the house, hearing the voice of a friend excited to hang out washes that away, while a text about plans feels like work to me. I'm realizing that there are a bunch of small antisocial behaviors that I believed were becoming part of my personality, but is more so my relationship with a computer in my pocket that I'm addicted to. However, the landline isn't all fun calls from friends and family. There is an aspect to it that has been driving me fucking crazy over the last 2 weeks. Spam calls. Spam calls and scammers are hitting my line more than anyone else. During business hours of the week, these assholes are calling me sometimes 30 to 40 times a day. But when the landline is your gateway to the outside world and social life, you have to get up and check who's calling when it's ringing. So hundreds of times over the last 2 weeks, I've jogged over to my landline just to see that it's spam.
Yeah, this is Eddie. How are you doing? Good?
Sorry, was your name Eddie or is my name?
My name is Eddie.
My name's Eddie as well.
No, your name is not Eddie.
It's not?
I get a call again, and it's more spam.
It's not.
You're paying high rates on your electricity bill, and what we are doing is showing people a free, no-obligation consultation and demonstration with our solar program. Devastating consequences for you.
This call is regarding your Medicare, as you already have Medicare Parts A and B both.
So why are you lying to me? Your name is Eddie.
Our records show you may owe over $10,000 in unpaid tax debt.
This could result in liens on your property.
Possibility for a hardship elimination.
Message deleted. Message deleted.
Remember, from Medicare Advantage, how are you?
Message deleted. End of messages.
So yes, other than the spam calls, this has so far been a mostly peaceful growth experience for me.
I was gonna say it's not something that you can just like be like, oh, you know, like on your normal phone you can just put do not disturb, other than like people that you know.
Getting rid of my phone has been the best thing I've done all year, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about all the little ways that not having a phone has pissed me off. 1, I can't use certain apps that require a mobile phone number. I got invited to a party and had to find out about it through someone else because I can't log into my Partiful. Partiful is the main way a lot of people I know send invites to parties now. And when you're throwing a party and someone ignores an invite, you're not gonna call them and ask them if they got it. Of course they got it. They have a smartphone. So if I know you and I missed your birthday, blame it on the safe, not me. 2, there are a few useful tools on the iPhone that don't involve the internet, like tool belt type tools. Yesterday, I was hanging frames on my wall and I couldn't use the level on my phone. Last week, the power went out and I realized just how much I had gotten used to having a flashlight on me at all times. 3, I miss having a camera on me always. I love recording a little video of a squirrel or grabbing a funny photo to text someone. I've had to make peace with the fact that sometimes I've just got to enjoy a sunset instead of snapping it and sharing.
Yeah, that would be hard for me. I love photography and I'm always like looking for like the right angle and the, you know, especially when I'm hiking too. Like, yeah, I enjoy like the scenery and stuff like that. Especially like if it's the first time I'm hiking somewhere. I'm taking tons of photos. Oh my goodness. I would be so sad if someone was like, no, you can't take your photo. Like you can't have your phone on this hike. Just like go without it. I'd be like, but my camera. But my camera. Come on, man. Like I need to have the good photos. I like doing photography. What can I say?
On one hand, sure, it gives me a nice moment to take in and appreciate what's in front of me. But on the other hand, I can't use it as a moment to connect.
Or it can inspire drawing like I did. There was one time landscaping that I found turtle and I picked it up and I was like, holy crap, this turtle's so cool. Like the back of it, its shell design was so cool. And so I made it into a drawing. And I'll probably post that sometime in probably late November. I have it all drawn up and everything. I want to do like another like lo-fi thing like I did was it a month or two ago? Was it a month ago? I think it was a month ago that I posted it on my Green Beans Animations channel. So photography has been a great way for me to learn how to draw too, so
with someone. So it's 50-50. 4, some friends are texters, some are callers. Friends that are texters have not really called my landline. They may have died. 5, weather app. No weather app unless check computer. Don't know how hot it is. 6, I'm using my computer way more often for sure. Sometimes I'll still waste time on it like I do my phone, but it feels much more manageable when I can walk away. And lastly, 7, I'm hearing, hold up. Sorry, I thought I heard my phone ringing. Everyone knows about the phantom vibration you occasionally feel in your pocket when your phone is sitting there. That has disappeared for me. But I am now hearing phantom ringing.
I do not have that. I have my phone on do not disturb like all of the time. So unless you're someone that I know, it's probably not going to ring for me, especially for text messages, because I usually have my phone on silent and then do not disturb as well, all of the time. So, yeah.
In songs, in movies, any similar tone has me perking my little ears up to check. But how does that all stack against crippling anxiety from social media and ruining my attention span? Well, like I said, I didn't have a level on me, so... One of the things I've enjoyed over the last few months is keeping up with current TV. Mainly White Lotus, Severance, and a little bit of Formula One for all my Max Verstappen heads out there.
I need to watch the last episode of Severance. I've almost watched all of it. It's so good. It's like if you're into like kind of like the psychology of stuff and like really thinking about society and stuff like that. Like I hate horror movies, but I like those type of horror movies where you're really thinking about like society and like how that society is set up and like kind of comparing the society that you live in versus like the one on the TV. And I find all that stuff interesting. So not that Severance is horror per se, but it's kind of in a way because it's kind of dystopian and kind of messes with your mind.
Part of my life was mostly unchanged, except I heard discourse about the shows through my friends' opinions and what they'd seen online. TV shows, politics, internet drama, basically everything that I'm algorithmically served are constantly placing people online into in-groups and out-groups. Like, if you disagree about a White Lotus episode in person, you're just hearing another perspective. But when a group of people have a different opinion on Twitter, it feels like large swaths of strangers are not like you over a micro-diversion of an opinion about a show from Ned Schneebly.
Shut up! You're both just cut it out for 1 second.
Even though I was aware of this, time in the real world and away from my phone had me connecting with people in a much more positive light. Again, still paying attention to the news, so not saying everything's fine. Far from it. But not getting mad at invisible strangers and bots 1,000 times a day had me feeling a way I didn't in a long time. And during my final week, Chrissy was out of town cat sitting, which made me pretty unsure of how my final days alone would go. More recently, when I find myself alone in my apartment for an extended period of time, I've been increasingly frustrated with how much I use my phone, especially before bed. Sometimes internally screaming that I should put it down, but scrolling through TikTok for some reason. What's it gonna give me? But during this week, I got to do so much more regular chilling. Without my screen time, I watched more movies, read more books, exercised, cleaned, all shit that I normally do, but none of it was rushed because after work, I didn't waste a bunch of time on my phone. Also, speaking of chilling, I watched YouTube only on the TV for the last month and it ruled. Shout out to everyone who watches YouTube on the TV. I am thinking of you when I'm making videos. I appreciate you. If you're watching on something else, that's fine too. Also,
Dude, I love watching YouTube on the TV. It was always such a luxury at home when like my parents were like, "Oh, we're going out" or whatever, because that means I got to watch what I wanted to watch, and it was stuff on YouTube, and I got to watch my video games and stuff like that on the TV, and it was like a luxury thing, and it's so nice to be able to watch YouTube on like a big screen. And now it's like it's normal. And it's not luxury, and I take it for granted so often of like it's just like it's some random person out there in the world, just average Joe Schmo, making just videos because it's their hobby or their job, and they like what they're doing, so they want to continue what they're doing, and you get to watch it on your TV, not a little small little, like on a little iPod or a little like iPhone and stuff like that. You get to watch it on TV, like a big old TV. Even if you have like a real small TV, it's still a TV. That's awesome. That's so cool. And you get to support people who are just regular people by watching their YouTube videos. I'm like, that is so cool. Compared to how traditional media has been for, even before traditional media, just the entertainment business for thousands and thousands of years of people working their butt off and working in different random theaters or different random TV shows or different whatever, just to try to make it to be famous. You can literally just do it in your living room if you want to now. Like, doesn't mean you have to be famous, but you can just, you don't have to move out to LA to just become an actor or to do this or to do that. You can just, if you want to, you can make your own script and stuff like that, or just like have AI make a script and, you tweak it and do all that kind of stuff and then act it out yourself, or, do like I do and create animations. Like, I don't have to move to LA to create animations. I'm doing it in my home, like where I'm at right now. Like, am I good at animating? Absolutely not. No. If you've seen my animations, you can testify to that. I'm not good at it. I use a lot of Canva. But I have fun. And I post it. And I'm learning. And I'm posting stuff while I'm in the learning process of becoming a better animator. And compared to where I was, I'm so much better than compared to where I was. And you get to see that progression through my channel versus like, someone who finally makes it on the big screen versus like, extras that they've played in the background. Like, you have to dig for that kind of stuff to be like, oh shoot, yeah, they were in this movie, or oh, they were in X, Y, and Z. And it's like, you don't have to dig. You can see my whole progression right there, just along with everyone else on YouTube. And it's just incredible. YouTube's incredible.
Shout out to laptop on a bed or laptop on a table. I can't hate on you for that. So I think it's safe to say that my attention span has been completely rewired over the month. But without the magic of texting, I was communicating with people way less. It was quiet by myself, and I couldn't mask it with a podcast or music to keep me company 24/7. So I needed to get out of the apartment.
Friday, 2:45 p.m.
Hey, little man. It's Katie. I'm calling to let you know that we're going bowling at 9 p.m. Be there. See you then. Dog.
This time when I took the bus, I did write down my directions just in case, but I've been retaining information for a full month without relying on my phone, so I just didn't look. I know where I'm going. And after arriving at the bowling alley, it was time to bowl.
Yeah, I will say, I've had to do that recently too, where I've had to drive around so much. It's like, all right, where am I going? What am I doing? And I'm not always like in service. So it's like, oh crap. So how did I go in here? And then I have to backtrack. As a dyslexic person, trying to do the alphabet backwards is horrifying. It's terrifying. Like, not a fun time at all. Like, it takes me forever. And doing directions that way too is just, it's so hard. my brain, and I'm not, so I can't visualize anything in my head either. So I can't like visualize like, oh, this road goes here, that road goes there. Like, to backtrack and everything. Oh my god, is it awful? It's so bad. I don't know how I haven't got lost yet without having some service. But yeah, no, it's been a fun ride for me. But I completely forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, doing routes like this and doing stuff that you've done kind of often, you just start like remembering roads, and you start, since you're not relying on your GPS to be your brain, you just start remembering stuff. And as someone who is like very directionally challenged, because I've been hiking a lot, and there's a lot of times where I go hiking, there's no service, so I can use my GPS to get in, but I can't to get out. Sometimes I can like at least pull the GPS up and it'll load enough for me to like look at the map, and I can kind of like look at the map and be like, oh, this is how I get out of here. Yeah, that didn't really happen for me today when I went hiking. Luckily it did after a little bit. The map finally decided, oh, we're gonna load. But yeah, there was a slight panic because I had only been to that park once, and that had been like 4 years ago now, probably 4 or 3 years ago, and I was like, yeah. And the way we came from was a completely different direction than the one I went from today, and I was like, where did I turn to get in? Did I come from the right or did I come from the left? I don't know.
Oh, where I'm going. And after arriving at the bowling alley, it was time to bowl.
And yes, please.
Yeah, okay, just press the thing up.
What followed was the greatest bowling I've ever seen. Strike after strike, nobody could be stopped. They almost kicked us out because they thought we were like cheating or something. Something about magnets. But we were using the balls that were there. Honestly, I'm like freaked out with how good we did. That's got to be connected to my not having my phone or something in some way, right? I don't know. But after some pro level bowling, we decided to get some food.
Yeah. Oh, you're doing, okay, you're dancing. Yeah, keep going. Can you do it again? I don't think you had a recording. Yeah, can you do more? That's just like not enough.
Backflip? Yeah. Backflip. No.
Suddenly, after some delicious food and a lot of drinks, it was 2 a.m. Everyone was nice enough to see me off at the bus stop, but I told them I was fine waiting alone. Then it was just me and Los Angeles at 2 in the morning.
I'm surprised LA's that dead at night. Like, there is no one around him. I figured it would still be at least kind of busy, because I'd assume people work at night, too. I mean, no one driving, nothing. Crazy.
With only 1 day left, I decided it was time to dust off an old aspect of my childhood and put it to the test as an adult. When I was a kid, I saw the takeover of portable GPSs for driving. At first, they were purchasable on their own, then a feature on my rich friend's dad's car. What? You thought he was the breadwinner? Well, it was actually my friend's mom who bought the car. Sounds like it's time to look inward about what we assume, I think. But before the GPS eventually arrived in every pocket in America...
As you're going, we'll be monitoring the traffic, we'll give you your ETA. If the traffic slows down in front of you, we'll update your ETA, and then we'll start looking to reroute you around it to find a faster route. And if we do, we'll offer it to you.
There was a website that would plan your route to print so you could take it with you on your drive. That website was MapQuest.com. Tony and I were going to follow MapQuest to Huntington Gardens and enjoy my final day of silence while the flowers were in bloom. So I routed our trip, sent my PDF to Staples, walked over, and man... I really should have fucking bought a printer for this.
You ready? All done?
Yeah, that's what happens when you're like in that Gen Z millennial generation. We don't own printers. we just don't. We just don't own printers. We just go to the library or go to Staples or go somewhere. And honestly, economically, unless you work from home and you print stuff off a lot, really not need for a printer. I mean, it's, the printer itself is expensive, and then you have the ink cartridges, which if you never use it, then the ink cartridges are going to dry out. Then you have to buy new ones just to print a single page, and then that one's going to dry out just to print another single page. We have to buy a whole new ink cartridge and everything else just to print that page. And yeah, it's just, yeah. It's not worth it.
You good? Yeah. Oh, you can't use we're doing MapQuest.
What do you mean?
You just can't use it. I'm doing like a no phone thing.
I want to listen to
Will you
music.
just fucking enjoy my company for once, the sound of my voice?
Just like traveling by bus, reading, prolonged silence, going to the movies, and taking landline calls, using MapQuest is way easier and less daunting than I thought. Dude, you just pay attention to the street signs and use your brain like 2% more. But we messed up a little bit. So we were on Temple Street and we were supposed to get on.
That's the thing, though, is if you mess up, then you got to figure out where you are, and you're like, oh crap, we went too far this, or you have to look at the odometer to be like, okay, we're getting there. Start looking for signs.
Silver Lake Boulevard. Now it's at a slight right, and here's the sign. It clearly says that
Which, if they're big freaking signs like this, it's a lot easier to read. But if you're in the middle of freaking nowhere and they're like the little tiny signs, especially at night, trying to find those stupid signs and trying to read them, and I have trouble seeing at night, like as far as that goes. So I'm like squinting. I'm like, what does it even say? That was fine because I have GPS, so I've never really had to worry about that. But like I've had it where it's like the GPS is kind of off, and I'm like, I feel like the road is a little bit more like closer to me than that, and so I'm like looking. Yeah, fun times.
you go straight, you're on Silver Lake Boulevard. You take a left, you're on Temple Street. But we were kind of talking, and there was a further left, so we were like, that one looks like it's straight enough. So we went left on Temple, but we eventually found Glendale. So we thought we had the directions correct until it said to take a slight right on Fletcher, 0.3 miles from the turn, and 0.3 miles from the turn was Echo Park Lake. And last I checked, the ramp for the 2 is not submerged in Echo Park Lake. Now, if you drive in Los Angeles, you might be thinking, how'd you fuck that one up? This is like a very famous and commonly known spot for LA driving. Well, Tony and I were deep in discussion about the fact that in our Spy Kids video, we accidentally called Fooglies Flugels. So you can see now that it was pretty important. But even then, it was fine. There's street signs for the freeway, so we just kept driving until we saw a sign for the 2. After that, it was smooth sailing. Overall, our mistake made us like 10 minutes late.
Oh, that's really pretty. Oh, look at the architecture on that. That's so cool.
There have been a set of questions that I get from people asking about this whole thing that are mostly the same. How are you going to get around? What do you do if you miss a text? What if you get lost? But those questions also come with a set of similar statements. Oh, I bet you'll feel so much better. You'll have so much more time on your hands. I'm so jealous. And that's because, at the start of this, I, along with you, probably knew where this would go to a degree. I'm not exposing a problem here that was hidden in the shadows. We all know it. We feel it every day. But those questions that kept me from doing it before didn't turn out to be that daunting. Sure, occasionally I did have to rely on someone else's phone for information or a text, but other than that, my life felt so normal. I think we're living in a time where our minds and our attention are such a currency, we need to start working out our brains like a muscle. And yes, that can be writing, reading, navigating, but I think you also need to build your own silence, your own peace. And that peace hurts the money of things keeping you on your phone. So the day will not come where Elon decides you need a break from Twitter for your mental health. There will not be a moment where people stop capitalizing on your anger, joy, sadness for their own profit. It's up to you to rip yourself back into reality as much as you can and take back what is rightfully yours. You. As for me, it was almost time to unlock the safe. I watched the countdown clock creep closer to 0, but instead of relief or confidence, I found myself filled with the same desperation for a solution that made me do this whole thing in the first place. What will my relationship with my phone be like after this? Will I lock it up every once in a while? Will I delete most of the apps and just use my computer when I need it? Will I lose everything I learned here and be stuck scrolling before bed again? After spending a portion of my youth in a cloud of buzzing noise, I had hoped to step outside of it, to turn around and be shocked at how much it had crept into every corridor of my brain. And that is exactly what happened. But I know that beyond a month-long experiment, it's unrealistic to go back to a world without the phone entirely. The thing is, I've known for years that the way I was beginning to use it was not good for me. I kept telling myself that I'd make a change, and until now, I never truly committed to that. So while I have no idea...
Yeah, that's what I liked about moving recently, like to my own place. I like where I moved. Sometimes you don't have service, and sometimes it's the, and there's just a lot more outdoorsy opportunities, and just to have that disconnect and just, be with nature. And it's like today hiking, oh my goodness, beautiful, so beautiful. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, you have that moment where you're like, God has made this all for me. Like, and you're just sitting there in awe and just like, everything is so beautiful. Just, and it's so hard to explain it. It's just like a feeling. And I was wanting to take pictures of everything because I was like, I'm seeing this and I'm seeing the beauty. And I'm like, I just want to capture this in a moment. And the fact of, I've been creating a video, like an animation about, kind of hobbies and like my photography hobby. And it's like, the first camera it took, I want to say it was like 8 hours, I want to say, just to take one photo. Where I took so many photos today. And some of them I had to take like videos to take the photos because I was like under this rock and there was, it has been raining a lot. So the rock was still wet and it was like dripping and everything. And so I'm like taking a video and like, I don't want to look up because I don't want to get water in my eye and I can't then see, and I'm on this wooden bridge that's wet, and I'm like, I'm gonna slip and fall and bust my butt if I'm not looking where I'm going. That, and JD is booking it because he's getting wet, and that spring water is cold. And so I can't really blame him for like wanting to book it, because it was chilly. Felt like ice dropping on you. And so I'm like taking a video, and then I'm like later when I got home, like taking screenshots of like certain spots, and really just being able to see the beauty of it, of that moment. And just kind of recalling like what was happening in that moment too, of just like, I was walking through there, I had my phone above me, and I'm laughing because JD's like, my God, why are we walking through this area? And I'm laughing at him while I'm trying to get like also a good shot, and I'm trying to look up too. I want to look up at it because I'm like, I want to experience the beauty as well, and just not have my phone just capture it. And I'm watching this river flow, and it was just all of it was just so much to take in, but it was like, it wasn't overwhelming. It was just beautiful. And he's right. Just being able to disconnect sometimes is just so nice. It's so nice.
What my relationship to this thing will be in the future. I do know that it will not be the same as the past. It turns out the only way to stop using your phone too much is to just stop using it too much. It's like bird shit on your bathroom window. You know you should clean it at some point. But hey, it gives you something interesting to look at on the toilet, and you can hope the rain will wash it away, or that a crow never dropped a gross load on your window in the first place. But if you really, truly want it to get clean, you're gonna have to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself.